Hello, this is Michel Leviathan Sorbet and you are watching a new episode of Wojennik TV. Today I would like to invite you to look at a new unboxing video, an unboxing of a game that is a reimplementation of a title published back in 1998. It's a game which was published by Columbia Games in 2019 under the name of Victory World War II. This is a game which was published thanks to a successful Kickstarter campaign. The objective of the company was to raise $10,000. At the end, the campaign closed with an amount of $25,000 and almost 200 people backed this project on Kickstarter. So the amount of money, when compared to some other projects, especially Euro projects or projects with a lot of miniatures, of a lot of components, is not impressive. But war games and Kickstarter not always come well together. So in this case, we should underline that 250% of the objective fixed by the publisher is really a good result. The game, as I said earlier, is a reimplementation of a title published 20 years ago in 1998. The designers of the original game were Tom Dalglish and Grant Dalglish. Now the game is signed only by Tom Dalglish. The game, as you can imagine, will enable us to play through the Second World War, but not in the same way that in many strategical games, because although it's a game set in the world of World War II, we will receive geomorphic maps. It will not be maps representing the Earth as we know it. It will be an abstract world where we will be fighting using forces from the Second World War. How the components of this game look like, I would like to show you them during this unboxing video. So let's take a look inside this box. Here is the box of Victory World War II 2nd edition in all its glory. You can see that on the box cover, which is pretty much the same as in 1998, we have some planes, we have some foot soldiers, we have a real battlefield, a real battle going on. At the back of the box, we can see how those 4 geomorphic maps will look like. Those maps will be placed one next to the other, so we will be able to create unique battlefields using 2, 3, 4 maps or only one map. There is also an additional expansion with additional maps which will increase the number of different battlefields possible to be constructed with this game. We can also take a quick look at some of the blocks, because as in most Columbia games, the game will be a block game in which we will be placing applying some stickers on wooden blocks in order to introduce the fog of war mechanism. Let's take a closer look at the components enclosed in this box. What is intriguing also is that Victory is a game that can be used alongside combat infantry. So on the strategical scale, we will be using Victory, and then we will be able to jump onto the tactical level using combat infantry. Combat infantry is also an interesting block game published by Columbia Games. I reviewed it a few months ago. So if you're interested in verifying this title, you can check the review on our channel. Inside the box, we will receive quite a surprise: blocks, wooden blocks of 2 different colors, red and blue, and also some black dice which will be used during gameplay. Those blocks are standard size. We will be applying stickers on those blocks, but those stickers are at the bottom of this box. The second element are the maps. Those maps are, as I said earlier, geomorphic maps Those maps are, as you can see, full of different terrain types. We have some forests, we have some rivers, we have some marshes, we have some hills, and also we have some lakes or seas. We receive 4 different maps, and we will be able to place them one next to the other in order to create unique battlefields. So those are the 2 maps. Then we receive a third one with also a canal, and the 4th map with a desert. So those maps are really pretty diverse, so we will receive many terrain formations. As I mentioned earlier, we can also use additional maps, so the diversity, the number of battlefields which we will be able to create will be really high. And then we receive the stickers. No, sorry, those are not the stickers, those are the counters, the markers used during gameplay. So we will receive some factories, as I believe, factories which will be producing tanks, power and ships, and then additional markers, maybe also a big marker used during barrage, and additional, those are, as I believe, airfields. Those markers are double-sided with different numbers when it comes to the factories. Then we receive those stickers which are generic ones, as you can see, so no nations here, just generic stickers. But this game also has additional nation expansions, so you can acquire an expansion with, for instance, the Soviet Army or the British Army. I will be showing you those expansions in another video. Now here let's take a look at those stickers. First of all, we receive some air units, we receive also some sea units, I believe aircraft carriers, yes, CVs, battleships. We receive also some cruisers and light cruisers and cruisers. Then we'll receive also infantry, some elite units, recon units, etc. Then the rulebook, which will be covering the rules of the game. It's a standard Columbia Games rulebook with the same structure, with the same format. It really reminds me of Victory in Europe, it reminds me of Combat Infantry, so I believe those rules will be really condensed, but very precise. I like this aspect of Columbia Games titles because the rules are really pretty straightforward. They are very condensed without this long description which we can find in some rule books of other companies. As you can see, the rulebook is in color. It's always nice to receive a rulebook in color because it's very much more pleasant to read such a rulebook. Some examples. I believe those rules will be interesting to be read, and I hope that the game will be dynamic and interesting. At the bottom of the box we can also find some additional information about, first of all, the Victory World War II system, so new units, multiplayer box, etc. So those elements which I already mentioned earlier, and then also an information about other Columbia Games titles. If you're interested in taking a look at those titles, you can just visit the Columbia Games website in order to verify all those interesting games. And that's it when it comes to the components enclosed in this elegant box of Victory World War II. Now let's pass to a short conclusion. The elements enclosed in this elegant box are really interesting. I like the artwork, I like the blocks. I believe this will be a very interesting game. What I like the most in this game is the fact that we received those 4 playing maps, which will be used during gameplay in order to create unique battlefields. At first I was skeptical when it comes to the fact that those maps are abstract. They will not be representing real World War II theaters. But after thinking about it, I must say that it's quite an interesting idea, because we have really many tactical strategical games covering World War II. We have maps which most wargamers know by heart. We have Normandy maps, we have Eastern maps, so most players are used to those theaters, and they are also used to searching weak points or passages through certain traditional paths. Here it's not the case. We will have to learn how to use those maps in order to exploit some weaknesses of our opponent's disposition. I like this fact, it's interesting. Furthermore, it's also possible to use additional maps, so the diversity which we will receive in this system is quite high. I was also skeptical when it comes to the fact that it's a game covering World War II, but we do not receive any national armies. We receive two really abstract armies with units transported from the Second World War setting, but without any Germans, Americans, British. It's mitigated by the fact that we receive an expansion, quite a few expansions, because we receive 4 expansions, 4 national expansions, which add additional blocks, additional units. So if some of you would like to play with historical pieces, it's possible by acquiring those expansions. But even without it, this game has some unique mechanisms, and it's set in the world. It's set in the world of World War II, not being really a World War II game. Interesting approach, interesting aspect. It is pretty much the same philosophy of design as it was in combat infantry. Do I like it? Yes, I believe it's interesting, it's something refreshing, it's something different from other games. How this game works, how this game feels, and how this game also is used alongside combat infantry, I will tell you about it in a future review. For now, I will once more take out those blocks from this box and apply the stickers. Then I will read the rules and I will try my first scenario. This was Victory World War II from Columbia Games. Thank you for watching this video. Take a look also at our other reviews and materials. Have a great day and see you next time.